Hello, first graders. One of the options that we have when we are finished with work and we're problem solving what to do next are mindfulness works. Now, if Mrs. Norton has not shown us a work, then we know we cannot do it. But today I'm going to show you all of the mindfulness works that you can choose from if you decide that that is how you would like to use your unfinished time. Let's start with yoga. We already know that yoga is something that we can do if we need a break. When we're taking a break, we need to use a timer because we only have a couple minutes to take our break and get back to what we're doing. But if we've chosen yoga as a mindfulness activity, we don't need the timer because Mrs. Norton will just tell us when people are done with the assignment and it's time to move on to something else. So I have finished my work early and decided that yoga is a mindfulness activity I'm going to try. So I'm going to get my yoga mat and I'm going to get some yoga cards or some breathing cards, and I'm going to go find a spot where I'm not going to disturb anybody. First, I'm going to carefully roll out my yoga mat. I got a ball pose, a boat pose, and a rest with a breathing buddy pose, and my breathing buddy is my reading buddy. I think I'm going to rest with my reading buddy first. Now Mrs. Norton has told us that it's time to clean up our materials and move on to some other work we're going to be doing. So I'm going to very carefully and respectfully put away all my materials, even better maybe than the way I found them. This card's blue, so it goes with the blue cards. And these cards are orange, so I'll put them back with the other orange cards. Nice and neat. I'm going to very carefully and tightly roll my yoga mat to make it just as nice and tight as when I found it. And I'm going to neatly set it back on top of the other ones. Yoga is not the only mindfulness work you can do. There are several other mindfulness works you can choose from. I'm going to show you them now. One mindfulness work is writing a note to Mrs. Norton. Maybe there was a problem with a friend earlier we didn't know how to solve, and we don't feel comfortable using our words out loud, but we want to write Mrs. Norton a note. So we'll get a pencil, a piece of paper, we'll write our note, and when we're done, we'll fold it up with our name on it if we want, or not if we don't want. And then we can put it in this box for Mrs. Norton. All of the other works in the mindfulness section need a mat, just like all of our math and our reading works. So let me show you where to get your work mat. This is where our work mats live. You can see that just like our yoga mats are very neatly rolled up and placed there. So I'm going to take one carefully and choose my work. I've chosen a spot on the floor where I'm not going to bother anyone. And notice how carefully I roll out my mat so it's ready for my work. Today I'm going to choose the finger maze. So I will take it and bring it to my mat. When you do the finger maze, you start at the top. So I might put this where there's an opening at the top. And I follow the maze. This is also called a labyrinth. And I'll keep going until I get to the middle. And if I finish and I still have time, I'll do it again. Mrs. Norton has just told us that it's time to transition out of this work and move into the next task. So I'm going to clean up. First, I'm going to put away my labyrinth exactly the way I found it, right behind the papers. There's another labyrinth here that I could have chosen as well. Then I'm going to very carefully roll up my mat. So it looks nice and neat, and I'm going to put it back. Just the way I found it. Another mindfulness work I could have chosen is clay. I get the tub, put it in the middle of my mat, open it up, and then I can use the clay to make different shapes. When I'm all done, I would put the clay back. Make sure this tub is closed. Do you see how this isn't quite closed yet? That's not respectful to the next person or the material. So I'm going to make sure that all the sides are closed. And then I'll put it back exactly the way I found it. Roll up my mat and put it away. The last mindfulness activity that I can choose is drawing. I need a mat for this activity as well. I'm going to choose this drawing activity, and I'm going to get 3 markers, any colors I want, but it has to be 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, 4. Not 3, 4. And I'm going to bring them back to my mat. Ready to work. Well, I started drawing, but Mrs. Norton said it's time to clean up and I need to follow directions quickly. So I'm going to erase my board. And put away my supplies. Exactly the way I found them. All the markers facing the same direction. And of course, very carefully roll up my mat. See how I got in too much of a hurry? I need to use both hands and do that again. There we go. Beautiful. Time to put it away. Mindfulness work is one of the things you can do when you are finished. You may also read to self. Later in the year, you'll be able to work on Zern. You can always choose to work on your unfinished work so you don't have to take anything home for homework. And once you learn how to do reading and math works, those will be options as well. No matter what you do, make sure that you are always doing your best. You're always being respectful of materials and of one another. Happy working!